The miraculous creatures God hides in plain sight, discover the divine love exposed in Scripture. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, among the arid hills of Midian, a humble shepherd named Moses tended his flocks. Once a prince in the lavish courts of Egypt, the rugged landscape now bore witness to his solitary contemplation as he guided his sheep through the harsh terrain. As the sun began to dip behind the mountains, casting long shadows over the dust, Moses journeyed towards the desolate slopes of Horeb. Suddenly, a brilliant light caught his eye, a bush ablaze yet wholly unconsumed. The flames danced voraciously, illuminating the gloom of the wilderness, an otherworldly sight that filled Moses with both fear and wonder. He approached the burning bush slowly, his heart racing, curiosity gnawing at him. "What is this sight?" he thought. "Why does the bush not burn up?" As he drew nearer, a voice resounded throughout the clearing, its gentle yet commanding tones echoing in the rocky landscape, "Moses! Moses!" The very air felt charged with divine presence. Memories flooded Moses' mind of the covenant God had made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the promises that had echoed through generations. In that moment, a profound sense of unworthiness surged within him. How could this ordinary shepherd, marked by the shadow of past sins, ever be chosen to stand before the powerful Pharaoh? He had fled Egypt, a murderer in exile. Who was he to deliver a people in bondage? Yet, the voice continued, proclaiming with authority, "I have seen the affliction of my people, and I know their suffering." A flicker of hope ignited in the depths of Moses' spirit, yet still, doubt clouded his heart. "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" he asked, the weight of his inadequacies pressing upon him. The voice reassured him, "I will be with you," promising divine companionship that dispelled the shadows of his fears. Moses pondered the signs that God had shown him: the transforming rod, the leprous hand restored, miraculous creatures that spoke of divine power and purpose. The mere thought stirred a yearning deep within his soul. The encounter with the burning bush unveiled the extraordinary nature of God, revealing that even in the wilderness of life, His presence was alive and active. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select All Notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. In the days that followed, plagues would sweep across Egypt, frogs ascending from the Nile, locusts darkening the horizon, a manifestation of God's judgment against Egypt's false gods. The Israelites bore witness to the omnipotence of the Lord, yet in their hearts sustained a growing trepidation. Moses felt the weight of leadership heavy upon him, knowing that the journey to freedom would extend far beyond physical liberation. It was to be a spiritual awakening, a revelation of God's covenant love amid divine trials. As the fateful day at the Red Sea drew near, Moses stood before the furious waves, the panic of the Israelites weighing heavily upon him as they faced the oncoming Egyptian army. Desperation pierced the air, fear clinging like an oppressive mist. Yet in this moment of peril, Moses recalled the promise of the one who had called him from the burning bush. Would the God who had ignited the flames and called him by name truly deliver them as he had said? With faith flickering like the fire before him, he raised his staff, longing to witness the miraculous yet again, their salvation hinging upon the one who had ignited his calling. What would unfold remained a divine mystery, waiting for God's perfect plan to reveal its glory. As the dawn broke upon the horizon, a pale light revealed the frantic hearts of Israel. Their cries pierced the silence of the morning air, mingling with the thunderous roar of the approaching Egyptian chariots. Fear grasped them like a serpent, coiling tightly around their hearts. Yet amid the chaos, Moses raised his voice, steady and resolute, for his trust in the Lord was undeterred. Fear not. Stand firm, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall never see again. The words flowed with an authority born of divine promise, yet beneath them lay the tremor of uncertainty. Moses turned his gaze towards the heavens, calling upon the one who had summoned him from obscurity. In that sacred moment, the Lord spoke again, saying, "Why do you cry to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forward. Lift up your staff, and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, that the people of Israel may go through the sea on dry ground." Caught in a divine tension between faith and fear, Moses obeyed, his hand trembling yet determined. As he stretched forth his staff, the sea rumbled, and the waters began to part, revealing an expanse of dry ground. The air filled with the scent of salt and sea, mingling with the awe that swept through the hearts of Israel. In that time of peril, the Lord sent forth an angel, a guardian of his chosen ones, to lead them through the passage of deliverance. The covenant promise ignited in the hearts of his people, transforming their despair into hope. As they moved along the corridor of the deep, the waves towered like walls around them, testifying to the power of the Almighty, but the fierce army of Pharaoh pressed close behind, cloaked in anger and armed with hate. "Pursue them! Bring them back!" the king roared, blinded by the pride of his heart and the weight of his stubbornness. Yet the Lord was not idle. He confused the chariots, their wheels becoming entangled, as divine intervention flooded the battlefield like a tidal wave of judgment. The colors of dawn turned to a fierce crimson as the Israelites stepped onto the far shore, every heart rejoicing, yet still shaking with the mirage of fear. And just as Moses reached the shoreline, the Lord spoke, commanding him to lift his hand once more. With that motion, the waters rushed back, a cataclysm of fury and power plunging upon the army of Egypt, their cries silenced forever. The sea closed, echoing the great redemption that had unfolded. In that moment, terror turned to triumph for the people of Israel, for they had witnessed the mighty hand of the Lord. A miraculous deliverance etched into the annals of history. They sang praises, honoring the one who had liberated them from the grip of bondage, exalting his name among the nations. Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out after her with tambourines and dancing. And Miriam sang to them, "Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously, the horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea." Yet as the celebration echoed through the wilderness, a higher purpose swirled within the heart of God for his people. The testing grounds ahead loomed vast, an uncharted desert shaped by divine design where faith would be forged. But what they did not yet understand was that the Lord sought much more than their liberation. He yearned for their transformation. A people called to become bearers of his covenant, to be a light unto the nations. Their journey had just begun, and the seeds of divine purpose were waiting to be woven into the very fabric of their existence, revealing the depth of his sovereign plan as they learned to follow the cloud by day and the fire by night. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to the Lord and said, "I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously, the horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea." They sang of his mercy, his might displayed so powerfully, invoking memories of the plagues and the darkness that had gripped Egypt, contrasting with the glorious light of deliverance. Their voices lifted in unity, echoing through the valleys as they celebrated the God of their salvation. As their voices faded, the desert stretched before them, vast and unyielding. The sun blazed overhead, and Moses faced the sea they had crossed with trepidation, aware that their journey into the wilderness had just begun. With each step, the ground beneath their feet stirred dust, the remnants of bondage softening into promises yet unfulfilled. Yet soon, the joy of deliverance turned to discontent. The people of Israel began to murmur. "What shall we drink?" they questioned, their hearts bound once again in the chains of despair. They had tasted freedom, yet the trials of the wilderness loomed heavy. In their thirst, Moses cried out to the Lord, seeking guidance amidst their grumbling. The Lord commanded him, "Go to that bitter spring called Mara and cast a tree into the waters." Moses obeyed, and as the tree touched the waters, their bitterness transformed into sweetness. The people drank deeply, their hearts relieved but still restless, their spirits not yet fully aligned with the divine intent of their sovereign. Behold, God spoke to them, "If you will listen diligently to the voice of the Lord your God and do that which is right in his eyes, and give ear to his commandments and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you that I put on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord, your healer." These words fell like rain upon parched soil, igniting in them a flicker of faith. For in the wilderness, among the woeful echoes of their need, the Lord was establishing a covenant. Lessons of dependence and trust woven amidst trials would prepare them for the promised land ahead. Further in the wilderness, as they traveled, they encountered a people who opposed them, the Amalekites. Their hearts trembled again, but Moses encouraged Joshua, saying, "Choose for us men, and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow, I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand." As the battle raged below, Moses raised his hands toward heaven. Whenever his hands were lifted, Israel prevailed, but when they lowered, the tide turned against them. Aaron and Hur, seeing the struggle of their leader, gathered stones for him to sit upon and held up his arms, one on one side and the other on the other side, until the setting of the sun. Thus, Joshua overwhelmed Amalek and his people with the sword, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Write this as a memorial in a book and recite it in the ears of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven." Thus was the Lord glorified through their struggles and victories, weaving his intentions more deeply into their hearts. But unknown to them lay the greater lesson. God was forging a holy nation, beckoning them not merely to survive the wilderness but to thrive in covenant relationship with him, as they learned dependence, trust, and the sacrifice of faith. Though they sang for freedom, it was their surrender that would reveal the fullness of God's sovereign plan, and the desert was yet to offer trials that would unveil their true identity as his chosen people, called to reflect his glory to the nations. And the people of Israel journeyed onward, led by the cloud by day and the fire by night, sustained by the hand of the Lord. In their wanderings, they arrived at the place called Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and there they encamped by the waters. Relief washed over them, for in the midst of their trials, God provided a respite, a place of rest and abundance. Yet, the hearts of the Israelites, still turned easily to doubt, soon echoed anew with the familiar cries of longing. They spoke amongst themselves in hushed tones, remembering the fleshpots of Egypt, saying, "Would that we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the meat pots and ate bread to the full. For you have brought us out into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger." The bitterness of their memories now threatened to overshadow the sweet waters of Elim. Moses and Aaron heard their pleas and turned their faces toward heaven, seeking the mercy of the Lord. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day, that I may test them whether they will walk in my law or not." In the morning, when the dew lifted, a fine flake like frost upon the ground appeared manna, the hidden bread of heaven. The people gazed in astonishment and exclaimed, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses answered them, "It is the bread that the Lord has given you to eat." With joy mingled with skepticism, they gathered the manna, some collected more, some less, yet every heart marveled at this divine provision. The Lord directed them, saying, "Take each day according to his eating, so that no one may keep any of it until morning." But some of them did not heed Moses, and they kept part of it until morning, only to find it bred worms and stank. Thus, it was made clear trust and obedience must be entwined as they walked with their God. The days turned into weeks, the people learned to rely on the daily delivery of his grace. Each evening quail descended upon their encampment, filling their stomachs with meat. Day by day, the bread of heaven filled their need. And in this simple act, God revealed his profound love for his people, for he cared for their every need, providing sustenance in a barren land. Yet even as he poured forth his bounty, some amongst them grew discontent. "Our souls loathe this worthless bread," they cried, forgetting the fierce grip of their captivity in Egypt and desiring the flavors of the past that only bondage provided. Their hearts drifted far from the wonders they witnessed, bitterness clouded their gratitude. In response to their complaints, the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and many were bitten and died. The Israelite leaders came to Moses, pleading, "We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord, that he take away the serpents from us." Moses interceded for the people, and the Lord instructed him, "Make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and everyone who is bitten, when he sees it, shall live." Thus, Moses made a bronze serpent and set it on a pole, and when the people gazed upon it, they were healed. In this, the Lord revealed a shadow of his greater plan, salvation set upon a tree, for those who would look upon him in faith would find healing and life. Longing hearts were drawn to the promise of restoration as they moved closer to their destiny. Yet still, the vastness of the desert lay ahead, a testament to the need for endurance and faithfulness that would mirror the God who called them forth. For in time, they would come to know that their journey was not merely through sand and stone but a pilgrimage into the depths of his sovereign design, each step closer to the fullness of his promise, leading to a land flowing with milk and honey, unraveling the eternal tapestry of redemption that awaited the world. And the wanderings of the Israelites continued, as they pressed further into the wilderness, where the parched earth stretched before them, and the heat beat down like an unyielding hammer. Days turned to weeks, and though they had known the provision of manna and quail, the monotony of their diet began to churn their spirits anew. With every taste of the heavenly bread, a discontent grew within. They longed for the flavors of Egypt, the garlic and the leeks, the melons and the fish. In their bellies ache. Another cry arose, the sound of bitterness woven with despair. Why did we ever leave Egypt? Did we not have enough to eat there? It is better to serve the Egyptians than to perish in this wilderness. Their voices echoed through the camp, filling the air with a heaviness that threatened to suffocate the murmurs of hope. Moses, burdened by their complaints, fell upon his face before the Lord and cried out, "O Lord, how can I bear this people? For they weep in anguish, and I am unable to fulfill their lusts." The Lord, in his mercy, answered Moses, "Gather to me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people and officers over them. Bring them to the tabernacle of meeting, that they may stand there with you." Not one to shy away from divine instruction, Moses called the elders and brought them before the Lord. And as they gathered, the Spirit of the Lord came upon them, and they prophesied. A great wind then swept through the camp, and the Lord sent quail from the sea, bringing them low upon the ground. A wind of plenty, but the people, in their greed, gathered and gathered, forgetting the command of the Lord. "Eat, but do not allow any to remain until the morning." A voice reminded them, yet they heaped more than their fill upon their plates and ate until their desire was satiated. Then a great plague came upon them, for the anger of the Lord was kindled against the people. They were struck with a sudden scourge, and many fell dead. The cries of desolation rang out, and the people cried to Moses, beseeching him to intercede once again. With heavy hearts, they implored, "We have sinned. Pray that he might take away this burden." With lifted hands and fervent prayer, Moses interceded, and the Lord relented. Yet, the lesson was seared deep within their souls. The Lord is faithful to provide, yet faithlessness and disobedience sow seeds for destruction. In this cycle of longing and loss, there grew within the hearts of the people a softening, an awakening to the depths of their need for the Lord's presence and provision. They could not hunger for the past nor consume the delights born of the world, for in him was true sustenance. As they continued their journey, the Lord led them to Mount Sinai, shrouded in a cloud of glory. "Come, I shall show you my ways," he declared, as thunder and lightning danced across the heavens, and the earth trembled beneath their feet. Moses ascended the mountain, drawn by the beckoning of the Almighty. There, amidst the fire and smoke, the Lord delivered his covenant, a law so profound that it would guide his people for generations to come. "You shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation," the Lord proclaimed, placing before them his commandments, written on tablets of stone. With trembling hands, the people listened, their hearts both lifted and burdened. They sought to understand the weight of his call, a sacred journey promising not just physical sustenance, but a way to commune with the divine. Yet, a question lingered in the air: what would it mean to uphold this covenant? Would they hold steadfast to his commands, even when the way grew dark and uncertain? For in this unfolding mystery lay the greater truth. Each command was a stepping stone toward a deeper relationship with God, a path toward redemption woven through history's fabric, a divine love forever calling them back home. As Moses descended from the mountain, the tablets of covenant in his hands, a weighty silence enveloped the camp. The radiance of the Lord's presence shone upon his face, yet to the people, it stirred both awe and dread. "What manner of man is this whom God has chosen?" they whispered among themselves, peering from tent flaps that stirred in the desert breeze, his heart raced with anticipation and trepidation, for he knew the gravity of the words inscribed upon stone, commands that would weave the fabric of their society, binding them to the heart of God. And yet, beneath that awe lied a growing tension, as downcast eyes revealed the uncertainty dwelling within their souls. "Look upon these tablets, O Israel," Moses proclaimed, his voice steady yet filled with fervor. "Herein lies the law of the Lord, commandments not burdensome, but life-giving. He calls us to love him above all and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Let our hearts be soft and our response faithful." Yet, even as his declaration echoed against the rugged cliffs, murmurs of doubt stirred among the people. For in the shadows of their hearts flourished the seeds of rebellion and desire for idols, creatures formed not of the divine, but of their own making. Among them was Aaron, who felt the weight of the people's restlessness gnawing at his resolve. Anxious glances exchanged, and the count of days since Moses had ascended began to bear heavily upon them. "We do not know what has become of this Moses, he is as a stranger unto us now," they cried. Eager to soothe their discontent, Aaron succumbed to their pleas, crafting a golden calf from the very treasures they had brought from Egypt, and they danced before it, lifting their hands in fervor. "These are your gods, O Israel, which brought you out of the land of Egypt," they proclaimed, recalling their memories of flesh pots and abundance. The Lord spoke to Moses in that sacred place, his voice thundering with righteous indignation. "Go, get down. For your people have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly from the way which I commanded them. I see their hearts, they are filled with idolatry." Moses' heart sank, and he interceded again, "O Lord, turn from your fierce wrath. Remember your covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, to whom you swore, saying, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven." As he descended the mountain, the tablets clutched tightly, Moses' spirit trembled. The sight that greeted him, dancing, revelry, and unholy worship, shook him to his core. He shattered the tablets beneath the fury of their sin, and the fragments scattered like the shattering hope within his heart. "Whoever is on the Lord's side, come to me," he cried, and the sons of Levi gathered unto him. With drawn swords, they executed judgment upon the transgressors. 3,000 men fell that day, and as blood mingled with dust, the wilderness echoed with the heavy silence of consequence. Yet, amid the sorrow, there remained a glimmer of hope. Moses returned to the mountain, seeking atonement for the sins of the people. "Forgive their sin, or blot me out of your book," he pleaded before the Lord. In that moment, a mystery unveiled. Though judgment was certain, mercy intertwined within the fabric of God's sovereign plan. The Lord replied, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot out of my book. But now, go, lead the people to the place of which I spoke. Behold, my angel shall go before you." A promise hung in the air, a divine assurance amid despair, sealing the truth that God would not abandon his people, even when they wandered far. And so, the journey continued, a pilgrimage marked by struggle and grace as they sought the land promised, not knowing the trials yet to come, or how deeply God's unfolding love would be revealed to them. For soon would come a new covenant, foreshadowed in these trials, binding them even closer still to the heart of God. What transformation awaited upon the horizon, hidden yet sovereign in his divine plan. And it came to pass that as Moses returned to the camp, the people were filled with dread and remorse, for their hearts were heavy with the knowledge of their transgression. They had turned against the one who had led them, and now the weight of shame bore upon them like the midday sun. With eyes brightened by tears, they dared not meet Moses' gaze, for he carried the evidence of their sin in the shattered stone. But Moses, filled with compassion yet burdened by the gravity of their sin, called out to the people, "O Israel, you have broken the covenant between you and the Most High. But hear me, for the Lord is a God of compassion, he desires not the death of the sinner, but that they turn from their ways and live." In those solemn moments, the hearts of the congregation trembled with fear and reflection. And Moses ascended once more to the mountain, seeking to commune with the Lord, the voice of the people echoing in his heart. "Lord, what shall I say to this great people? You have called me to lead them, do you still choose to go with us?" The Lord spoke, his voice like thunder, and yet, softened like a gentle breeze. I have heard the cries of my people, and I remain faithful to my promises. Moses, he continued, carve new tablets like the first ones, and I shall write upon them the words of the law again. You shall rise early in the morning and come up to me on the mountain. There, I will reveal my glory to you, and the covenant shall be renewed. For I am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. Moses, heartened by the promise of renewal, obeyed, climbing the mountain with urgency. The Lord descended in a cloud, enveloping them in the sacred mist of his presence. The Lord God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering, and abounding in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, proclaimed the Lord, revealing both his justice and mercy. Moses bowed low, encountering the weight of glory upon him. O Lord, if I have found grace in your sight, he implored, show me your way, that I may know you and continue to find grace in your sight, and consider that this nation is your people. The Lord replied, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Yet a new urgency stirred within Moses' spirit. Please, show me your glory, he cried, thirsting for a deeper revelation of the living God. Indeed, I will make all my goodness pass before you and will proclaim the name of the Lord before you. But you cannot see my face, for no man shall see me and live. I will place you in the cleft of the rock, and when I pass by, I will cover you with my hand. As the glory of the Lord passed before him, revealing only the afterglow of his greatness, Moses was forever changed. His encounter ignited something within him, a resolve to lead the people not merely as a lawgiver, but as a mediator, a faithful servant of an unyielding God. And as he descended once more, the new tablets in hand, Moses' face shone with the radiance of divine encounter. The people, witnessing this glory, were compelled to draw near, but the veil of their sin and rebellion still lingered. The questions arose in their hearts: would they trust again? Would they follow the one who renews covenants and holds forth mercy? And even among their hesitations, they could not deny the profound hope burning beneath the ashes of their rebellion. For a promise of love was spoken, a new covenant, one written not merely on stone, but on hearts, waiting to unfold in ways they had yet to grasp, for the eternal plan of God was far greater than their current plight. Soon, they would see the depths of his love unveiled, leading them toward a promise of restoration and grace that even the law could not contain. What lies beyond the horizon of his sovereign design? Only time and divine revelation could unveil the greater redemption God had prepared. And it came to pass that Moses came down from the mountain, the weight of the new tablets in his hands and the radiance of the Lord's glory upon his face. The people, witnessing this marvel, recoiled in fear but were drawn by an undeniable spirit of awe. They murmured among themselves, "What has happened to Moses? His face shines like the sun, reflecting the countenance of the Almighty." Moses called out to them, his voice steady yet gentle, "Fear not, for I bear the words of the covenant renewed. The Lord has shown me his glory, and I have received his commands again to guide you in righteousness." But still they hesitated, for the memory of their rebellion clung to their hearts like a heavy shroud. "Approach, O children of Israel," Moses urged. "The Lord is merciful and gracious, and he longs to be reconciled with you." Then Moses unveiled the tablets to them, the engraved words etching their future upon stone. "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," proclaimed the words of the covenant. As he spoke, the people's hearts stirred within them, a flicker of hope reignited amidst their despair. Yet the elders stood at a distance, whispering their fears. "What if he should strike us again? What if we have angered him beyond mercy?" Their voices trembled like leaves in the wind. Moses, discerning their doubts, spoke again, "The Lord has not forgotten you. His faithfulness extends to the 1,000th generation of those who love him and keep his commandments. Do not let the fear of yesterday's sin bar the entrance to the grace he freely gives." As time went on, Moses gathered the people to recount the commands of the Lord, sharing the law as a light upon their path. Day by day, they absorbed the instructions. It was an arduous, holy task demanding their full attention and obedience. In the midst of this, the presence of the Lord dwelt among them. The cloud that had enveloped Moses also drew nearer to the camp, filling the tent of meeting with a glow that mirrored the skies. For wherever the presence of the Lord is, Moses reminded them, there is life and safety. Yet still, a darkness threatened to overshadow their hope. The remnants of their former rebellion whispered in their ears. Can we truly be called his people again? They questioned silently. Are we not still bound by our failures? Moses, lifting his gaze to the heavens, implored, Lord, show us your way, lead us in the paths of righteousness for your name's sake. And the Lord spoke to him once more, declaring, Tell the people this, I am the God who is with them. Though your sins are as scarlet, they shall be made white as snow. With these words, a fresh hope began to ripple through the camp. The children of Israel began to see beyond their past, gazing into a promised future, a covenant renewed and a people redefined. Perhaps, they mused, something greater awaits us. Could it be that the love of our God is wider than our transgressions, and his plan grander than our understanding? And as Moses molded the hearts of the people, new foundations of faith arose, preparing them for the journey ahead. For the Lord was leading them through the wilderness not only to a promised land but into a deeper relationship, a divine communion that would transcend the tablets of stone and etch his love upon their hearts. But what else had God concealed within his magnificent plan? What treasures lie hidden for those who would seek him with all their hearts? The horizon promised more than mere survival, it beckoned toward a destiny intertwined with divinity, as the unfolding mystery of his sovereign love lingered just beyond their reach. And it came to pass that as Moses finished the recounting of the commands, the people began to murmur among themselves, reflecting on the words that had been etched into their hearts. A sense of reverence enveloped them, and yet, a lingering unease threaded its way through the camp. Is our faith strong enough? One elder voiced, his brow furrowed in worry. What if we falter again? What if we return to our old ways, like dogs to their vomit? The people nodded in agreement, their spirits heavy with the memories of past disobedience. Moses, sensing their turmoil, raised his hands. Listen to me, O Israel. The Lord does not call us to rely on our own strength, rather, he promises to be with us. As it is written, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1 verse 9. As these words settled among them, a silence fell, interrupted only by the rustling of the wind through the desert sands. The people began to understand that their strength lay not in their own efforts but in the faithfulness of God. With renewed hope, they turned their eyes toward the future, envisioning the land that had been promised to them. Then the Lord spoke to Moses once more from the cloud that hovered near. You shall make a sanctuary for me, that I may dwell among my people. Exodus 25 verse 8. Build me a tabernacle, the Lord commanded. Its structure shall symbolize my presence among you, a sacred dwelling place where I will meet you and speak with you. Moses, filled with awe at the holiness of the task, bowed his head to the ground. I shall instruct the people, Lord, they will bring offerings of gold, silver, and fabric, so that we may construct this dwelling for you. As Moses conveyed the command to the Israelites, a spirit of generosity began to fill their hearts. The people brought forth their treasures willingly, and the craftsmen among them worked with skill and passion. Day by day, the tabernacle took form, bearing witness to their devotion and the glory of their God. Amidst this labor, however, there arose whispers that questioned the purpose of such a structure. Can the Almighty truly dwell in a tent? They mused softly. How can he, the creator of heaven and earth, be contained by human hands? To these doubts, Moses replied, it is not the physical structure that defines his dwelling but the faith of his people. As it is written, heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. Where then is a house you could build for me? Isaiah 66 verse 1. Yet in his grace, he desires to be close, to reside among us, conforming to our weakness and sinfulness, that we may be in communion with him. As the tabernacle neared completion, the camp thrummed with anticipation. The day was approaching when the glory of the Lord would descend, and his presence would fill the space they had fashioned with their hands. But even as hope swelled, another question emerged within them: what will we do when he dwells among us? How shall we walk in his ways? Moses sought counsel from the Lord, praying fervently, "Teach us your ways, O Lord. Show us how to honor your presence and live as your people." And thus, God revealed to Moses a deeper truth: "For it is in the heart of the people that I will write my laws, and from their love for me will flow obedience that transcends the commands." Little did they know, this revelation was but the beginning of a grander design, for the Lord intended to transform not only their lives in the wilderness but to fulfill a promise that would echo throughout generations, a promise woven through the fabric of history, revealing the depth of his everlasting love. What divine purpose awaited them just beyond the horizon, shrouded in mystery yet beckoning them closer to understanding? The tapestry of God's sovereign plan began to unfold, hinting at a covenant that would soon reshape the world. And so, the construction of the tabernacle came to fruition under the skillful hands of Bezalel and his companions, who labored tirelessly to fulfill the command of the Lord. The people brought forth their various offerings, each a testament of gratitude, a life surrendered to glorify the one who had set them free. The colors of the fabric intertwined beautifully, gold and silver shimmering beneath the sun, reflecting a foretaste of heaven itself. When the day of dedication arrived, the people gathered around the sacred structure, anticipation swelling within them like the tide. Moses stood before the congregation, the glory of the Lord resting upon him, and proclaimed, "This is the dwelling place of the Most High among us. Here, we will meet with our God, and he will commune with his people." With trembling hands, he placed the final item, the Ark of the Covenant, within the innermost chambers, an embodiment of the divine presence. It was adorned with cherubim, their wings stretched in reverence, signifying the holy encounter between heaven and earth. As the priest offered the sacrifice, the heart of the congregation turned skyward, uniting in a sacred moment of worship. Suddenly, the cloud of glory descended, enveloping the tabernacle in a luminous haze, consuming the senses. The people fell to their faces, awestruck by the presence of the Almighty, a palpable reminder of his faithfulness. From the mist, a voice resonated, "I am with you, O Israel. I shall lead you through the wilderness, and you shall be my people, and I will be your God." In that moment, doubt was silenced and hope reigned supreme. For in the shadows of their past rebellion, they found assurance in the grace that held them. God had chosen to dwell among them, not due to their merit, but because of his unwavering love. Weeks turned into months as they journeyed onward, following the cloud by day and the fire by night. Each step was a lesson in trust and obedience, and although temptations continued to rise, the whispers of despair diminished as the memory of God's encompassing mercy filled their hearts. They learned to rely on his provision daily, rejoicing in his sufficiency when hunger struck, and worshipping deeply when the quail descended. Yet, temptation was a tricky foe. As they approached the borders of the Promised Land, and the promise lay just beyond their grasp, they hesitated. "Are we truly ready?" they pondered. "Shall we trust in the one who has brought us this far?" In that sacred hesitation, the Lord spoke, "Fear not, beloved ones, for I go before you, and my promises are a steadfast anchor." Encouraged by these words, courage grew, and a new generation emerged from the ashes of the past. They prepared to embark into Canaan, a land flowing with milk and honey. God instructed Moses to choose 12 spies to survey the land, and it was the faithful Joshua and Caleb who returned with unwavering assurance, declaring, "Let us go up at once to occupy it, for we are well able." But the others, overwhelmed by fear, spread discouragement, a folly of disbelief that threatened to eclipse the light of faith. In response to their rebellion, the Lord pronounced judgment upon that generation. "None of you shall see the land I promised to your forefathers, save Caleb and Joshua." It was a harrowing lesson. The fullness of his blessing was intertwined with their obedience. As years passed, the people wrestled with the consequences of their decisions. Yet the Lord remained ever faithful. Even in their wandering, he was still their guiding light, and his presence never left them. The hope for redemption remained alive, and so it came to pass that after 40 years in the wilderness, the mantle of leadership was passed to Joshua, who stood on the brink of an unprecedented revelation, a promise fulfilled, a covenant renewed. "Fear not," God assured him. This day I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you." As they finally crossed into the land, they erected stones as a memorial, testifying to the miraculous hand of God. The waters of the Jordan parted, and as they tread the dry ground, joy erupted in shoutings and songs, echoing through the valleys. Thus, a new chapter dawned for the children of Israel, who were finally home. Yet this journey was not merely about reaching a physical destination, it was a culmination of God's divine intention, a people transformed, hearts aligned with Him, ready to be His light reflecting His glory to the nations. The lessons learned in the wilderness would guide them into His truth as they walked in obedience, eternally marked by the remembrance of His provisions and mercies. For generations now, this enduring story reminds us of the unrelenting love of God, reaching down into our wildernesses, offering hope, restoration, and an abundant grace that transforms. Let it ignite within us the fervor to seek Him, to trust in His plans, and to carry His light to the ends of the earth. Now, dear friends, as we reflect upon this transformative narrative of God's faithful presence, don't miss your opportunity to remain anchored in His Word. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next powerful biblical stories that shape our faith and reveal the heart of God. Leave a like now to help spread God's Word through the algorithm, ensuring that His truth reaches many more souls. Comment below with your spiritual reflections. How has this biblical story impacted your faith? And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. This is the moment to help spread biblical truth and hope. Don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony that can change lives for Christ.